Oh, there you
Right, we're
go.
live. Yeah. So sorry about the rocky start, guys. Facebook changed how they let us do lives. So we had to switch from Zoom to here because it won't go on Zoom this week.
Thank you. Mira Boucher, thank you for your expertise. Carl's Wine Club
Woo-hoo!
members, Canadian wine lovers, welcome. We are live here with Debbie Etsell, owner, assistant winemaker, assistant vineyard manager. I do everything at the vineyard from Singletree Estate Winery, based in the Fraser Valley on Mount Lehman. Debbie, welcome. Good evening.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all across Canada.
It's such a pleasure to have you on because we've been doing these kind of things from let's call them the big boy from the industry, right? Like live with Summerhill Estate, live with Black Hills, live with like these big producer. My favorite thing, what drags me out of bed in the morning, and when we talk with these small family-owned winery, the people who from scratch, from the beginning, I've been like nourishing their dirt, like this is their land, this is their everything. So now we are just all so excited to hear your story. So thank you for taking the time, because I know for a fact that you have to do so many different things that it's hard to get you for an hour. So to have you with us tonight, it means a lot, and we're really excited. So thank you for being here. And while we start, because I don't think that people care a lot about my story. They already know way too much about me. But what about you, Debbie? When did you guys purchase the land, and when did you guys started to grow grape?
Well, actually, you called me the assistant winemaker, in the fields. I don't do any of that. It does start because of somebody that our family has 67 acres here in Abbotsford and Fraser Valley, and we have 2 sons. And we farm turkeys first. So we have, and still farm turkeys. So we call ourselves sort of like the fall farms, because we used to do hay and now turkey, and now wine seemed like the natural progression. But it actually came out of both of our sons wanting to stay in farming. We had all this land, and we said to and they said, we want to stay, what can we do? We have to support 3 family units off of this land. And we had the older son, we said, hey, go find your passion with the land. And he took the horticulture course at the University of Fraser Valley. And his practicum happened to wind up to be during the summer in one of the largest wineries in BC. And he came home and he said, Mom, Dad, I know what I want to do. And we went, we like wine. And sent him down to UC Davis in California, took the viticulture and winemakers, and came back, studied our land for 5 years before he planted. We've always, I like Pinot Gris, so I put in a little plug. Could we please have some Pinot Gris? And I know that's one of the selections in your box that you received if you wanted it. But yeah, family farming, love agriculture, love good wine, love telling the story of where it comes from and how we make it.
Oh, okay. No, that's amazing. Now I have to apologize to your sons,
Yes.
to all the family. I am extremely sorry about it. Sometimes sometimes you take things for granted, right? But wow. And I should have deferred to Mira, because Mira is the absolute queen of doing research before all of that. And anyway, sorry to all the family, but okay, now let's go back to turkey farming, because
oh no,
you get my attention here.
Wine goes with turkey.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Well, guess
That's
what?
I'm good at. I'm definitely good at pairing wine with food, and that is my job. So there's a family of 4 of us. It's my husband, who's a chartered accountant, has a degree in agriculture. My son, who now has all the training and worked under Matt Dumaine with Okanagan Crush Pad for when he started out with. He does all the field work, all the winemaking. He has an assistant winemaker in Naramata. My daughter-in-law, who does the special events, the weddings, the social media. And my expertise is marketing, and also I take care of the wine store down here and do the admin as registering wines and shipping things out and all that kind of lovely stuff.
Wow, that is awesome. So it's a true family affair.
We all use each of our gifts, and we all work hard. And yep, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't love it.
Well, you know what? I think in the farming, doesn't matter what you farm, it's always hardworking. So, but wow, this is such an amazing story. I'm so glad that we're here talking about it. So, okay, let's talk about where are you located? So you mentioned you're in Abbotsford. So for me, well, in the wine business, when I study my Canadian map, so if I see the Fraser Valley, we usually understand that the Fraser Valley are very well known to grow a lot of stuff. Okay, it's a very fertile land. There's a lot going on, but there's not a lot of people who knows about Mount Lehman and why Mount Lehman is really good to grow grape because of the altitude and the wind coming up from the ocean to keep everything dry, so you avoid a lot of mildew. So where exactly Mount Lehman is located?
So a lot of people know where Highway 1 is outside of Vancouver, and you head east about 60 kilometers. And also the largest river in our province is called the Fraser River, and we are very close to the Fraser River. And as you said, we have a little bit higher elevation. Mount Lehman really isn't a mountain if you look at it, especially if you're in BC. Yes, if you're Oklahoma, you might think this is a mountain, but not in BC, for sure. But we are at a higher elevation, and we have this really unique microclimate where we get higher degree heat days, and we've been watching it over the years, and it's definitely increasing. And you get those ocean breezes, but we also get the breezes down from the Fraser River. And this used to be part of that delta many years ago. So this is like one of those really worldly, wonderful deltas that you can grow all kinds of things. Did people think wine would ever be here? No way. So now I can tell you there's 3 established wineries we're within 5-10 minutes of each other. And there's another 3 that have been planted, and there's even more thinking about it. So it's definitely becoming an emerging area, something to watch for. Really, really good for cool climate white grapes. We've got natural acidity because of there's a lot of clay around here, but we've got some really nice top soil on the top. And as I said, the heat units are getting better all the time.
Absolutely. And when you look at the heat unit across about the Okanagan, when you get to the Fraser Valley, you're maybe like I would say probably like 300 or 400 unit degree under the warmest place in the Okanagan. So you guys are getting up there. And that's why when you look at the portfolio of grape of the Fraser Valley, we usually see some hybrid grapes. Because, well, these grapes who are probably like more than like 80 years ago, there was that very famous grape whisperer who used to grow grape together in Alsace and bringing all of these clones back. And that's how like Nova Scotia, Ontario got started with that as well, but also all in New York and all of the northern states of the US use this hybrid grape. But you guys use Pinot Gris, Singletree. The Pinot Noir grow fairly well in your area as well. So what is the king grape on your estate?
So for us, if you say Singletree, the first thing people will say is Zigareba, for sure. But our Pinot Noir is also something that we're known for because we do traditional method sparkling, and our rosé is in high demand. So, we chose to do the Vita Flora. We've got the Sauvignon Blanc, the Chardonnay, the Pinot Gris, one you might not have heard of, Gruner Veltliner, Zigareba, Pinot Noir. So mostly cool climate white grapes, but especially the Zigareba. If you talk Fraser Valley, that is a grape that you hear a lot of. You always hear Pinot Gris, especially in BC, but Zigareba in the Fraser Valley and parts of Vancouver Island is emerging as a well-known varietal to be grown here for sure. I think the reason, early maturing, childhood Gewürztraminer. So if you happen to have a season that's not so warm, you'll always have a good wine.
Exactly. I think you nailed it with the Gewürztraminer. But Gewürztraminer is not always well known to have a great acidity. Sometimes Gewürztraminer will be heavy. With the Singletree, it's not the case. There's always a vibrancy in Singletree and a complexity in that grape. That's why I really love that. And my first introduction to your wine was the Victory, and I fell in love with that one. Like full of energy. The bubblies were like super beautifully like hit you at the right place. The length was perfect, and from the touch of sweetness, natural sweetness, and the spice in the back end, really made it that wine. And when I remember the first time I had my favorite Japanese place delivering some little spicy ramen that night, and their pairing was absolutely off the chart, and that's why I was like, oh my god, we need to do something. So yeah, my first introduction was with the Singletree, and definitely. And what would be the biggest difference between your Singletree sparkling and your Singletree still wine? Is there a difference, like when you harvest the grape is the biggest difference, or do you have different plot of your vineyard already assigned to sparkling wine and some to go with the still?
So we really base upon our practices upon what the year the terroir gives you, and we flow with that. Sometimes we'll pick it a little bit earlier and make the sparkling. Sometimes we'll let it hang a little bit longer. So it really depends upon the vintage and what the season was like. We make 3 different kinds of Singletree. We make the still, we make the frizzante, and we make a orange trend. We do a natural wild Ziggy, we call it, which is something different because Singletree has really intense floral notes as well as the fruitiness, and that nice little punch of acidity as well. It's really fun right now because we have 2018, 19, a little bit of 17 left, and it's really fun to be able to tell the story of what the growing season was like for that year, and this is what the wine has come out like.
Sorry, I'm just like
just
having that mouth-watering acidity of my Pinot Gris here. Just like, whoa. We're going to get to the Pinot Gris a little bit later. I just want to keep talking a little bit about the property, about the estate. How many, you mentioned you have 63 acres in Mount Lehman. Obviously, it's not all under vines. So
not yet. But we actually, our property is one of the first properties from one of the founders of Mount Lehman. So it was a gentleman named James Merrifield that came up a paddle wheeler on the Fraser River, got off at what's called Mount Lehman Landing at the Fraser, walked up to this land, and he staked 100 acres. When we went to get this in 1999, the 100 acres was for sale, but I'm not sure if you guys know how much land costs in the Fraser Valley. Right now, an acre is anywhere between 100 and 125,000 an acre. So that gentleman had some insight. I'm not sure if he thought his family members were going to stay here, but smart man. And this land has actually been farmed ever since the late 1800s and was the largest fruit orchard in the Fraser Valley and we can see the fruit trees still all over the place on the property. We leave them alone and let them do their thing, but those plants are still producing because this is such a fertile valley. So we're lucky enough to have 67.3, of which 14.5 acres is planted in vines right now.
Great. So 14.5. So can you give me a little bit the split? Like, do you know exactly how much is Singletree, how much is the Pinot, how much is the Pinot Gris?
Good question. So a large portion is the Ziggy. About 7 acres of that is the Ziggy. The Pinot Noir is about 3.5, 4 acres. The Pinot Gris is the next big one, and I think it's probably, so maybe the Pinot Noir is about 2.5. That's right. And I think Pinot Gris at about 2.5, and then Gruner Veltliner is, I think, 1 acre, and then the Chardonnay and the Sauv Blanc.
Wow. Do you do single varietal Chardonnay and single varietal SB as well, or you use that in a blend?
So last year, I know one of the things when we first planted here in the Fraser Valley, they went, there's no way Sauvignon Blanc's going to ripen in the Fraser Valley.
That's why I'm asking. I'm like, oh my God.
I wish you could have tried our 2019 Sauvignon Blanc. It won silver in the All Canadians. It was just from this vineyard here, and it was amazing. It had those tropical fruit notes with a little bit of elderflower to it, that nice. There was a bit of acidity at the back end too, but it was so smooth and wonderful. So yes, we dispelled the myth of Sauvignon Blanc in the Fraser Valley for sure. Other years, yes, we've got that little bit more, I'd say, mango, soft tropical fruit, the green pepper, the green grass notes came out on it. It really was a beautiful Sauvignon Blanc.
I will be honest with you. When I saw the Sauvignon Blanc on your portfolio, I was sure it was from your estate in Naramata. I was like, okay, yep, that make a lot of sense. No, 100% estate from the Fraser Valley. That is really cool. Really cool. Before we get to the Chardonnay, we had Vicky here. Vicky's on Facebook, and Mira just like highlight, she has a reservation with your dome later this month, and she's really excited to get out there. Okay, we need to pause here about the wine. I really need to get you on. I need to get in the dome conversation because when we met at the beginning, I know that was like right in the beginning of the pandemic, and when you just started with the dome, and I know that just to have like 5 minutes on the phone call with you was a planning for a couple of weeks because you got so busy with the dome. I met a lot of people across the country since the beginning of the pandemic, and to me, there's different. There you go, Mira, you're an absolute genius. Thank you so much. And there's different style of people, and there's the people who sit down and start complaining when things doesn't go their way. I hate that. This is crap. I hate this government. I hate this. And there's people who say, okay, this is a curveball who's been thrown at me. Mira and I did the exact same thing. Our business looked like, oh my God, we need to change. We need to evolve. And that's how we start Carter Wine Club. But now nobody's traveling. Nobody gets to your estate. Nobody, like way less people reaching out to you to purchase wine. So what you've done, you brought the dome to the Fraser Valley. Please tell me how that idea started and how did you implement it? Because I know that the people in your area absolutely embraced the idea.
Yeah, that was innovation gone incredibly right at the right moment. We always are trying to think of new experiences at Singletree. Yes, we're a winery, but the guest, we don't call them our client or our customer. The guest at Singletree, we always want to give them something that they'll remember. And some of those things in the past have been Friday nights, we do what's called Wine Down Fridays, where we bring in a local musician. You come out to our picnic area amongst those heritage fruit trees, right amongst the vineyards and that, and you listen to local music, and a food truck might be there. You bring your own picnic. We kept coming up with new ideas, but when COVID hit, our tasting room went from capacity, not a large tasting room in Abbotsford, bigger in Naramata for sure, went from a capacity of 14 to 6. So that cut our exposure and being able to, have people taste firsthand what we have to offer, to meet us, find out about us. So in the summertime, we applied for the temporary COVID tasting area outside. And when winter was coming, we thought, what are we going to do? This isn't changing. What can we do that we can still have a great experience during the winter time? Because it's not going to be in the tasting room with 6 people. That's not going to work. So we I looked at the canvas tents, and I went, that's not going to handle a BC coast winter. So we get some pretty good winds out here. I looked at little greenhouses, and I was worried about safety of the guests, and with glass and pretty cold weather. And then talking to one of our marketing people, they said, have you thought about those domes? I was in one in New York, so I started researching. That was September. By December 1st, it took us that long, but we had our domes up, built, and on January 16th, we launched them. And in the first day, the site crashed because we had over 500 reservations in 20 hours.
Oh my God. Did you hear that, Mira? Did you heard those numbers? That is crazy. Oh, and I know if there's any restaurant owner hearing us here across the country, these numbers are a dream for everyone. Oh my God, 500 reservations in 20 hours.
And these are tasting domes. These aren't restaurants. These are tasting domes. Like, we don't have a license to do by the glass or by the bottle. This is, you're coming to taste wine, and then we have a takeout box. Each person gets an individually crafted by a local chef of all the local delicacy, a gourmet charcuterie box to have with their wine tasting. And they sit amongst this environment. I also themed them, so it's not just a table and some chairs. One is the enchanted forest amongst the vineyard. So I've got a twig lantern, a chandelier that we built with antique crystals and little lights, and it's got woodland creatures and tree stumps and sheepskins and different throws, and it's all done in color coordination. And of course, for the spring, you can't leave it like that. So there's ferns now and some vines amongst the light. And the other one's had to do a little thing to support Canada. So we did the Canadian dome. And I'll tell you the truth, the guys really like the Canadian cabin dome, and the females really like the enchanted forest dome. So a whole new way of enjoying wine in the Fraser Valley.
That is just, and the tip of the hat to your persistence and to your innovation. And the whole thing was just because we saw that. I stayed a lot in Kelowna at the Grand in Kelowna. But anyway, so long story short, we saw that. But way after that you started, when I started to talk to you in January, it was way before everyone. So I think I understand that you were one of the first in the country, right?
Well, we were the first in BC, but we had a little issue, and some of the growing pains was that our POS system and our calendar system said that they would be compatible, and they weren't compatible when we actually got it up and going. So we were ready to go December 1st, lost all the Christmas business. And by January 16th, I went, that's it. We're going for it. I'll reconcile all the payments. Well, I'm glad I did it, but my life is kind of busy still doing some of the work the computer should have done. But it's a good, bad problem to have, right?
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's better to have that problem, but because you're so busy, than the bad problem that don't know what to do because you're not busy, right? Oh, no. And also, but to me, the first thing that I'm thinking when I saw the whole project is here is the way to rotate the wines that you have at the warehouse right now. So because you know that there's there's a load of wine in bottles or in the fermenting tank that's going to be ready to hit the market. And that was it's one of the biggest problem with that pandemic. It's for the small producer that what they're using their tasting room to move and rotate the wine. We all know it's a 12-month period when harvest, press, put the wine in tank for bottles, sit down, and after that they need to hit the market because there's another batch coming behind. So
you would think you own a winery and you knew it.
Well, that's the whole thing, and people don't think about that. But if you can't get your wine out, well, what do you do with the wine the wine in tank? So I guess that was one of the saving grace for you guys to be able to move this wine out and to introduce the people to your brand as well.
Well, it's been, there's the number of people that have said, I didn't know about you until I saw you on the global news, saw front page of the Vancouver Sun, Orchard and Vine. Who are these people that are doing this? And people come out. We daily get people just driving up and going, tell us about those domes. Every day, people just driving up. How do we get in one? Well, we're sort of booked for the next 3 months. So, and the Friday and Saturday nights are all the way into the fall right now. So we keep saying people have to cancel, change their minds. So just keep watching the calendars and then you'll get a spot.
So how many do you have? How many of these domes do you have?
Not enough.
No.
We also have to, I mean, we're stewards of the land and that here, and with Abbotsford, they're really concerned about footprint. These are not permanent. They can be taken down, but they will be permanent to Singletree. Even after COVID, this will be part of what we do and what you can experience. And eventually, we've been waiting since January 2020 for our lounge license. And because of COVID, they keep putting it off because they've been approving these temporary tasting areas and patios for wineries. So they will eventually be part of the lounge, and then you can have by the glass and by the bottle too.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you can get your charcuterie, you can get your little food, and after that you can purchase some wine and go home with the wine. That's a little bit how it works, or?
Yes. For sure. We also have a heater in there for cold days, a fan in there for hot days, and a Bluetooth speaker that you can enjoy your own music.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. I will move into the wine but that story is just like, I think it's absolutely incredibly brave and courageous, but I love people who go after it and like relentlessly fighting for it, and this is such a beautiful story. Awesome. And I want to invite every of our members in the Abbotsford region, because we have many of them, so please go check it out and swing by and go get some beautiful wine that's at Singletree. Now that we're talking Singletree, Fraser Valley, we had in our pack, we had the two Ziggy, so the Ziggy Frizzante, the Ziggy still that we already talked about. I would like to chat a little bit about my tasting notes and the thing that I found out when I was tasting your wine. So what I've done, especially on the Frizzante, I gave it, Debbie, a 91 points when I tasted it, and I would like to review my notes with people who are tuning in with us right now. And I said, this wine pleased me at the very beginning, but after an hour in the fridge, because when I tasted it first, it was not cold enough, I clearly remember, and I just like threw it back in the fridge, and that's at that moment that I ordered some food, and my Japanese came in, and the first step, and I put in my tasting note, I am now absolutely blown away. So good with spicy food, a ton of flower aromas, enhance the beauty and the complexity of this fine bubble. The palate showcased ginger, key limes, and pineapple. So it just shows here like the spice, the vibrant acidic fruits, and also the tropical fruit. So there's so many different steps in the flavor profile. And I finish it by, I also like the tenacity of the bubbles. The acidity is vibrant and dazzle through the whole experience, balancing the natural sweetness of the grapes. A wonderful showing. So here is my tasting notes on that Sigaribi, and I was so pleased. And I thought it was kind of a unique, my first time drinking Sigaribi sparkling. So well done with that. So so your son is now he's taking care of all of the winemaking. Does he has an affinity with the particular grape? What is, because you know him better than anybody, what is his grape? What is this? Is the whisper of which kind of grape?
So definitely Zigareba was one of the first ones, and it was him who went, I think this would be great sparkling. You can look at the three different methods, the Frizzante, the Charmat, or the traditional. Because of the lightness of this, the soft floral that comes from it, it's not it's not like a bold Chardonnay. So if you went and processed it too much and did that traditional, or even the Charmat, so he decided to do Frizzante, and we're thrilled. He said, I don't want to use another method. I think this one will be the best. And for sure, it's been a winner. Right now, it's one of our guest favorites for sure, along with the still. To have a wine that has that nice floral, and then especially, I can't tell you the number of people who come in and go, I don't like sparkling.
I know. I hear that all the time.
And then we'll go, no problem. And then the wife will start drinking it. And the guy will go, let me have a sip. And he'll go, oh, because it's not sweet and it's not dry. It's a really nice balance. And I would say that's what's most important to our son, is he loves with working with each varietal and balancing it. So in this case, this was something that he wanted to try. We love sparkling. So, for sure, we wanted to see how it would work out, and it certainly was a winner for us.
Absolutely, and the spice also, it's so underrated in the Sigaribi. Like, there's that light spice, and to me, like, that's when I refer to ginger, because it makes it like the boldness in the back, and that's what it gives the whole personality to the Sigaribi. So yeah.
Yeah, we highly recommend all the time. We say, just try it with spicy food, or even just a little bit of spice, try it. Because that, it really does. Yes, it's for your sipper, you know, the acidity balance on it is so nice, but try it with some spicy foods too.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, like, it doesn't, and you mentioned it doesn't have to be super hot, super spicy, but just like these little, like Asian, Japanese, like the miso, like I just, and most, especially for the still Sigaribi, the Ziggy still, I picture that because I tasted the Ziggy after the Frizzante. And the first thing that came to mind, it's a miso marinated sea bass. I had that recipe in one of our previous restaurants that I used to work with, and that's the first thing that came to mind. That little sweetness, spice, and that unami type of, like, the style of the miso, just like match so well with the Sigi still. So these wines are not only sippers; these wines are so great for food pairing. This is always an adventure around the world with that type of grape, because there's so many different aspects of their personality. That's great. So now I have here the Pinot Gris in my hand. I love the acidity in the Pinot Gris, and I want to ask, because okay, there's BC is the province of Pinot Gris and Merlot. Yep. Pretty much every single winery has a Pinot Gris and a Merlot in their portfolio. And that's usually the one who has the highest production. Guess what? I know the business model. We need to pay the bills. And these wines sometimes and often will pay the bills. But my biggest problem is often the Pinot Gris especially will taste pretty much that profile of Pinot Gris that 60% of the winery has the same style. This stands out so good because of the level of acidity. This is biting in the fresh lemon. This is, what reminds me is when it's hot outside and I'm craving a lemonade, but not that sweet lemonade in a can. You know, that fresh zingy lemonade. That's what I get when I taste your Pinot Gris. That's the highest level of acidity, but balance as well. Just not like a peak, but very well balanced. So what's the secret behind your Pinot Gris? Is it the date of harvest? Is it the use? How you guys maintain that such a high acidity?
So we do something called cool ferment. We have jackets on all of our stainless steel tanks, and he has a certain temperature that really keeps that really crisp, fruit forward wine, which also maintains that really nice crisp acidity that you're talking about. You nailed it on the head. We tell everybody, hot day, Pinot Gris. Go for that refreshing, not heavy, just super refreshing bit of citrus, soft fruits. Sometimes it's pear, sometimes it's apple, but really he loves to do his cool ferment methods for the Fraser Valley wine. He wants to bring that forward. Let's celebrate what we have here. We have on our property, we have about 300 feet of clay. We get natural pH. Let's work with it and make the best of it.
Isn't that what we call terroir? You
Yeah.
know, when
Yeah.
you get something, you play with it. You just don't try to do something different just to be different. You got something. Let's use it to our advantage, right?
Exactly. And that's he's always he picks the year. He'll watch, definitely he watches the bricks levels and that. He'll also watch the weather and say, okay, we have to watch with our season if there's going to be 3 weeks of rain at harvest or that. And he'll really watches the grapes closely at the end. And one of the nice things is, before, when we first started, we were an incubator winery, and we started out at a custom Okanagan crush pad. And that's when he worked with Matt Domain, and we didn't have to put the capital costs into building our own processing. Now with Naramata, we have our own processing. We have tanks down here where we ferment, we filter, and we store down here. So it's been a nice transition. He now picks when he knows he can go and process and get the best of what he can out of the grapes at the right moment.
Exactly. Now you control the whole step, right? You don't have to wait. Okay, how many online? Like, I'm the fourth in line. So, when with the crush pad, you have to wait your turn because like someone using it. So now, but when you own it, you can control every step of the operation. That's now you're the master of your own destiny. So this is fantastic. And to me, when it's time of Pinot Gris, there's two schools that I really enjoy personally. That's the skin contact Pinot Gris, who gives texture, richness, and depth. And that at the other hand of the spectrum, what I got in my glass here is the zippy, zingy acidity, what it gives you that lemon lime profile. And and I enjoy variable, but your style is completely on the left side of the spectrum of the fruit, the absolute authenticity of the fruit and the terroir.
Yeah, we tell the story that we're trying to showcase the valley. There's the valley in a bottle.
Exactly. And like
that.
And
sorry, I have to say Fraser Valley, because now when I went to the Okanagan the first time, I said valley, and all of a sudden I went, no, Okanagan Valley, Fraser Valley. This is Fraser Valley.
And that's why when I was talking with Mira at the beginning, like, what is the biggest hit to feature you? What was exciting Mira a lot? It was like the two valleys, right? Well, we can talk about the Fraser Valley and the Okanagan Valley, especially the bench, because the bench has something very unique on its own. The Fraser Valley has something very unique on its own, but so different on the both sides. So you guys have two stories now, and it is super interesting. And that's why I was so excited for you to be here tonight, so we can tell these stories to our people.
There's only 3 wineries in BC that have 2 growing regions and 2 wineries in both of those growing regions. And we're just a family of 4, and this is something.
I know.
I forgot to tell you, we're all firstborns and super achievers.
No doubt about that. And you know what? I'm listening to you talking about wine, and it feels like if you grew up in a winemaking family. It doesn't seem like you're just starting into that. It feels like you grew up into that. The way you talk about it, it's wonderful. So I need to mention it to you as well, because I think it's really impressive. So you're doing it extremely well.
Well, I got to tell people, ask what it's like, and everybody has this romantic, vision of owning a winery and a vineyard. So we've been farmers. We've been sheep farmers. My husband, when he first graduated, worked on a dairy farm. We grew organic corn, organic pumpkins. His family had a blueberry farm in Richmond. This is the hardest work we've ever done in our lives. A winery is not easy, but it's also the most rewarding. It's like Christmas every year. You open up the present. What did the year give you? And each of those wines is a different present. And it's amazing.
And it's just, you just say it so well. You grow corn, your corn tastes like corn every year. You grow blueberries. I'm from a blueberry country. I'm from up north Quebec, and where I'm from, they call us the blueberries because there's so many blueberries you grow everywhere. Anyway, every season the blueberries taste pretty much the same. it's blueberry, for God's sake, right? In the wine, it's completely different. And you just mentioned it. The most beautiful thing is to taste every vintage, to taste every region. And for you, it's even more true because you have the wine from the Fraser, the wine from Naramata. So there's this two profile and two terroir. There's two stories in the bottles. So now that we've touched the Fraser Valley, I want to move to Naramata, because this is a newer project. This is something that you guys put together. How did you, first and foremost, how did you came up with the idea, and how did you make that happen? Because purchasing a winery on the bench, it's not something that everyone can put together overnight.
So we only had the one red grape on the property here. We could grow some of the hybrids in that, as you talked about, but we're a family that loves bold, rich wines that you can get different dark fruit, black cassis, when you put it in oak, that earthy leather tobacco that goes with that rich fruit. That's hard to replicate here in the Fraser Valley. That's very difficult. So we were buying grapes from the Okanagan. We love the Black Sage Bench. That was one of the places we always bought our red wines that we would drink before we owned a winery, for sure. And we were able to buy grapes from there. So Andrew would do his thing with the terroir, with the grapes. He made a fabulous Meritage blend of Cabernet Sauv and Merlot from that bench. And he did that for 2 years, and he kept winning gold medals with it. And then a big company would come in and buy the land because you could see what it could do. So then we bought grapes again from another one just a little bit further down the road. Again, the same thing happened. It's awfully hard to build a brand. If you make the wine, you showcase what it can do. And so we all sat down as a family and went, this is really tough. We just got to find a way to get some vineyards in. We love Naramata. We have a cousin that lives there. It's a beautiful place. Love the family environment of wineries. Some of the long established. We're right by Hillside, who we were drinking when we were in university. Sorry folks, we're in our 60s now, so that's a long period of time. But that bench has always been sort of like a dream that you never thought you could have, and an opportunity came up, and we jumped on it, and here we are. We're now producing in 2 regions.
And when this all unfold, was it in 2010?
Yeah, so we actually own, there's a little bit of an evolution. We bought that property, the first one I'm talking about in Naramata. We bought that 3 years ago. We had to work on the building for almost a year and the vineyards. So we weren't open that first year. We opened up 2 years ago in June, that particular property. Around that same time, another opportunity came up for 10 acres down the road with, oh my goodness, Pradeep Verdot, Malbec, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah. So those are things that we dream of here in the Fraser Valley for sure.
I don't think we're just around the corner to see Petit Verdot growing in the Fraser Valley. I believe in global warming, but not that much. Sorry, I cut you off. I'll let you keep going.
No. So there's not very much Malbec in BC. These vines are established. It's all southern facing. It was just a beautiful opportunity, and we again decided that we needed to take this with something that wasn't going to come our way again. So we definitely stepped into that one. Did we know that COVID was going to hit us in a pandemic? No, but I think you can all tell by now that we are farmers, but we also like to think ahead. We'd like to think outside of the box, and that's definitely something that brought us to where we are. And we love the Naramata bench.
I think you call that entrepreneur.
Okay.
That would be that what you just described. I will call that entrepreneur.
I'll call it a farmer who loves it and just wants to embellish himself.
Absolutely. The risk taking, it was like a big deal of risk taking doing what you were doing. And especially when you're not like a third or fourth generation in the wine business, you don't have all of that background knowledge. So you need to trust that you're going to learn on the fly to put all of these things together. The competition is really fierce out there. There is some winery, you just mentioned Hillside. These wineries are established for a long time. They know the terroir of the bench. There's like these long-term wineries. So you guys have decided, yep, let's do it. We can rock it. So it is like that. Tip to the hat. I love that story. It's amazing. So you said 10 acres. And when you bought the first property, how many acres of vineyards did you have before you purchased the second one?
So this acreage, to my understanding, because it was, I think, 3 Mile Bench winery years ago. It then was split into 3 different pieces. It used to be Quidney. It's now Westburg is right beside us. So it's a small piece of property. The previous owners before us took out all the vines that right by the road there and started to build the actual building. So I think the acreage left there is somewhere between 2.5 and 3 acres, not that much. Some nice Cabernet Franc. Oh, I love Cab Franc.
Me too. Here.
I am a fan of Cab Franc, Merlot, Pinot Gris, and I think a bit of Chardonnay. So, a small acreage with some definitely a bit of production there. The other acreage, I think, has out of the 10, I think it's 7.5 acres producing.
Wow. Okay. That's a decent amount of grape growing every year. So your production, all of the bench, have a decent potential.
So the what we call the home plate in Naramata, the first place, it is fairly young, and some of it was planted in between rows by the previous one, so it's really young. So that one, is evolving, and we're working with it. And then definitely the one down the way is well established, beautiful vines, and the varietals that come off there are just amazing.
So let's get to my note, because I had a Merlot, the 2017 Merlot was my first red that I tasted, and what I loved about it, to me, was the value proposition out of that. And again, a little bit the same way that I'm talking about Pinot Gris. Sometimes there's a lot of wineries producing Merlot across the Okanagan, but many of them have a lack of personality. Tastes the same. There's no there's no sparks. Merlot can be boring sometimes. This Merlot absolutely lit me up. It was, when you look at the price point versus the finish of that wine, was spectacular. And I want to read my notes, because this one was I gave it a 92 plus point. I was right on the verge of a 93 points. And to be honest, Debbie, probably like less than 10% of the wine that I rate are 93 points and plus. So you're at 92 plus. And here's my notes here: is outstanding Merlot. What a great reflection of the purity of the terroir. Fresh and extremely well balanced. This Merlot showcased plum and blackberry with nice dark chocolate brownies topped with whipped cream. And I explain you, because there's a little bit of oak in there. It can bring like a little nice vanilla who makes it like make the dark chocolate flavor not too bitter. So I thought like the middle palate was really sexy. So I really like that. So that's how I phrased it that day. And now it's the kicker. So the finish linger way longer than expected with super soft and persistent tannins that transform the wine from a good Merlot to a great Merlot. Another fantastic value proposition for $26. Bring it on. Buy by the case. So that was my my emotion that night when I tasted that Merlot. I thought that for $26, that wine, I would have paid $35, no problem, and see value on that wine. But at 26, it was absolutely off the chart. So well done. Let's talk about, because 2017 you didn't have the bench properly. So the grapes are from is it from somewhere in the Black Sage, or is Naramata fruit?
This is the reason we bought Naramata. We were buying these grapes in 17.
From there you go. Oh wow, what a great first date.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that Merlot was absolutely fantastic.
And what I would say that we say the reason we've got this vineyard is that Merlot. And we weren't getting any of the Syrah, the Viognier, the Malbec, the Petit Verdot. It was the Merlot that we were getting from there. And it was like, I remember us all tasting as a family out of the barrels, the Merlot, and going, oh my goodness.
This is special.
This is special.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do after this or early tomorrow, I'll forward you these tasting notes. And if you want to use them on your website or anything, you're more than welcome to do so. And I'm not just Mondi or anything like that. I'm not charging anything for reviews. So I will forward these ones to you. But I really fell in love with that Merlot, to be honest with you. And there was another fellow who's has a good following on Facebook. Clay, I sent a bottle to Clay for him to review it under the Taste Buds. Facebook group where they share tasting notes, and Clay actually made it as a how did he call that? It's a great value alert or gem value alert. He sent that to all of his people. So I think for people who really like describing wine, this Merlot was a big hit of people I'm talking to. So well done. When we're talking about Brett, so now your son as an assistant winemaker on the bench who worked the land and all that, and he makes the wine there, or your son goes back and forth and overseeing everything's happening on the bench?
No, he's firstborn. He likes to be in on everything. No, he is the winemaker. He can't be up there. He's usually up there at least 3 days of the week, if not 4. So he's watching, and especially during crush and fermentation, he's up there more than he is here. But he does have an assistant winemaker that he can leave, and he can call her up and say, hey, what's it looking like here, here, and here. They also will sit down at the end of the season, and she'll taste everything with them, and that she keeps all the records for it. No, they are working together, and it's nice to have somebody up there, because just in case, I mean, anything goes wrong, there's somebody right there.
So it's more than a setter hand. It's more like it's typically an assistant winemaker.
She's definitely got the title of assistant winemaker. Yes.
Oh, that's great. And and what's your son like? Like we're talking about the Ziggy in from the Fraser. What's his soft spot from the bench? Which one does he really likes to nourish from the bench?
He's having so much fun with the reds. That's difficult. Like it's like a kid in a candy store. Like he's loving working with all of them. I must tell you, he's done. We've started a new release called Winemakers Release, and he's done a standalone Syrah from 2 barrels only. That definitely going to be a higher price point. That I actually tried and said, do we have to sell it? Can't we just drink it all ourselves? they wouldn't go for it. So okay, it's going to be, you know, when he was so excited that, you know, as he's tasting for the Bordeaux blend, he goes, "Oh my goodness." And they would sit there and they would go, "These 2 barrels are exceptional." So they've done that with a Cabernet Sauvignon and they've done that with a Syrah. So I think, you know, being able to meet the needs of some different, because here in the Valley, for us, it's more difficult to sell a higher end bottle, to be honest. It has to be pretty darn special. I think he's gotten there for sure. I can hardly wait to share it, even though I did want to keep it all. But I would have a hard time picking exactly which red he loves, really, honestly, working with all of them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and again, like that Merlot to me was such a great value. So well done. Quickly, because now we're gonna run out of time.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, that's all my fault. I cannot stay on schedule. You can ask Mira. Mira will like tell you, like, every time I go behind, I just don't want to take too much of your time. But let's talk about the harness, because I want to finish with the Malbec, because we have some recommendation to everyone who's listening to us about the Malbec, and it's the small little production that I want to keep it for dessert. Let's talk about the harness. Harness is your flagship. And when you were talking about earlier about the Black Sage Road or the Black Sage Bench, is the fruit of the 2014s are coming from the south on the Black Sage Bench? Yeah, because that's when I tasted it. That's exactly what I mentioned to me. I feel the warmth, and like I feel it's warm, it's spicy, it's a little bit more in the south. So. But yeah, it's a great, it's a good flagship wine. And again, the price point is just reflecting such a beautiful production for the price. Where the idea of the harness come from? Like not only the logo, but the blend and the style of wine that you produce. And now that you're mentioning that your family is all about big wines, it makes a lot of sense but there's a great balance in that wine.
Again, he loves balancing. So it's funny that we're talking about our branding near the end, but our last name is Etsell, and nobody can say it, spell it, or anything. We get called everything. on the bottle there, you see a farming implement, and we didn't want Etsell Estates or anything like that. We wanted something that talked about family, farming, and heritage, because we're carrying on the heritage on this property. We're carrying on the heritage of farming in the Fraser Valley, and we're a family. So this particular implement is off the workhorse, and it's curved for the ones in vineyards or in, and so this was absolutely the perfect name for us. Harness, I can't tell you the people who come to visit us and go, "What grape is Harness?" And I'm like, no. We like to continue on with that sort of knowledge of farming, and we name all of our blends something that has a farm component to it. So we actually, our white blends are coming back this year, Farmhand and Homestead, and the Harness has always been our premium red.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what I wrote in my tasting notes, it's this wine, it's in its prime at the very moment. The 14 right now, we're at 7, entering its 7 years of aging. This is absolutely the top of its curve. For my personal taste, I'm not a big fan of oxidized wine. I know there's a lot of wine drinker who like some of their wine on the back end of their curve. They like the secondary aromas. I like my wine a little bit more in its youth, and like when it's like the tannin a little bit more snappy. This wine is priming. It hasn't went on the back end of on the curve at all. Now it's round. It's balanced. There's a great texture. Then there's a beautiful complexity. I like the little toastiness. There's a bit of black pepper, but the cassis and the dark fruit are just showing wonderful right now. There's no more spike. There's no roller coaster. It's just like a beautiful, like slow, soft ride, and really, really enjoy that one.
Yeah, you can tell he loves to make wines like this, and it definitely shone through in this one. Because we're a small family winery, we've libraried. This was one of the ones we've libraried. The Pinot Noirs, we haven't been able to library very many because people just have to have them. But this one, we really, really wanted to know how our reds would age with the way he makes the wines. And I can tell you the 15 is turning out to be the same way, just a hotter summer, so a little bit more fruit forward. 16, we moved to an actual Bordeaux blend with 4 of the Bordeaux grapes. So I'm so excited to see how that one will come along. 17 and 18 are just sitting in bed right now. Just
let them sleep. Let them sleep.
Let it sleep, because we're finding out that it's aging well.
And now, since you bought the new property, is all of the fruit for the harness are going to move towards the bench, or you're going to still go source down south some of your wine, or you want to be 100% estate grown? Sorry, it's really a tough question. I don't want to put you under the spotlight on this one.
So when we moved from the Meritage to the Bordeaux blend, we definitely want to showcase what Naramata could do. I forget what vintage it was that the Merlot from our harness was from Naramata as well. So this was a natural progression, especially being able to add Petit Verdot to the blend. I think he's actually adding a Syrah in the coming years coming up here. So just moving to that more of the Bordeaux grapes into his Bordeaux blend, and loving what I'm seeing already. Can sort of anticipate what's coming down the pipe with this particular one, and I don't think people will miss the Meritage. I think they'll love the Bordeaux blend too.
That's great, and I want a little shout out here. We have some people who are tuning in on Facebook. Mike LaPlante is one of our members. He's in Ontario, and Mike has a YouTube channel as well. He's talk a lot about wine, and he ordered some of your wine and also ordered some extra Malbec. So we want to tell Mike to stay tuned, Mike. We'll talk about the Malbec in a second. And we also have Clay Martin, the person who started the Taste Bud website. He's with us tonight and he's listening at the moment. So I want to say hi to our other passionate about Canadian wine. It's all people that we're getting to know each other. We're all very passionate about the world-class Canadian wines. And I had the privilege to feature what you do, and I'm sure these guys really enjoying what you are doing. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's great to have you. So Debbie, moving from the RNS, and by the way, I'm really intrigued to taste the 15 of the RNS, and we're going to be stopping by. Hopefully, were you saying that you might not open Naramata tasting room, or is there a plan of opening the Naramata tasting room?
We opened it, but with the travel restrictions that came about, the wineries were finding that the traffic was fairly some that don't have restaurants and that. I can't speak for everybody, but we call ourselves the new kids on the bench. Yeah. And it's a little bit more difficult with a new brand in that area. So we chose, just for the time being, we're looking at May long weekend will be open again. So and June, we're hoping that things get better with COVID and that people will be able to visit again.
That's good news to see that you guys are planning to be open soon, because we're going back to our new house in Kelowna for May long, so we might swing by.
There you go.
There you go. Because I really want to get a 2015 RNS. I need to put that asleep for a few. I got my.
Oh, we have to say one thing about Melback.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We're not done. We're not done.
Oh,
so
okay.
Mira. Oh no. No. I just see Mira coming in. So that means she has something to mention.
Okay. I just want to say that the Premier of Alberta just announced that all schools K-12 are going online this week. So I say that because you said we'll go back for May long weekend, and really we can go back anytime because our new house is there. So we were just here because the kids have another month and a half of school. So if they're online, we might be doing that online school from our little beach. We'll see. But yes, go ahead and talk about the what was it? Which is the next line?
The Malbec. So
That's
that's
the
mean we
Malbec.
have a lot of planning to do tonight, Mira. That's funny because we just drove back from Kelowna today, and half of our conversation in the car was like, "What if they shut the school down? Are we packing everything right away?" Or so yeah, but it seems like we're gonna be right away back to the Okanagan. Anyhow, okay, let's talk about Debbie. I so appreciate your time. Oh, it's such a wealth of knowledge. I am thrilled right now. Now let's talk about the 20. Which vintage? Oh, there was the
2018.
yes. Sorry, I
Right.
just too many number. 2018 Malbec. Because I have a fun story. When we started to talk together to feature your wine, well, I had a little too much white in the portfolio. I was like, I want a few more reds. And you said, Carl, we need to do it, but I just need the approval from the VQA. And you guys were driving the bottles to the labs, and like the process is not as easy as people think. People think that to make wine, you just need a label, you put that on the bottle, and you put it to market, right? All of the steps are so precise, and you cannot skip any. So that was kind of funny. And you would say, I need a couple more weeks. So I need to get the result. I need to get the approval. And finally, we got the approval. But you guys got the approval from the VQA. And 2 weeks later, we were jumping and featuring the wine. So that's the point I wanted to bring. For everyone who purchased the pack and had some Malbec in, and I had Debbie mentioning it to me many times, Carl, make sure that people know we just bottled that wine. This wine needs some time to settle down. So, and I'm talking to Mike on this one because I know, Mike, you got extra Malbec on your pack. So, Debbie, can you please explain to our people a little bit of the last part of the process and why we should wait a little bit to let this wine sleep a little for a few more months?
So usually with our red wines, after we bottle it, we let them sit for a while. We let them settle. We let them go through what's called bottle shock. There is such an excitement about Malbec because it's hard to find. Everybody knows about Malbec from Argentina, but Malbec from BC, I don't know exactly how many, it's under a dozen, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think you're at 10. I think it's 10 producers.
I think it's around 10, but I don't want to miss anybody just in case. So I know it's under about 12. So Malbec is not well known in BC, but there's a lot of people that love Malbec. And this one, yes, it's young, but I can tell you that even when it first came out and we tried it, it was bright. It was the pepper on the back end seemed fairly soft. It was like a big, bold, tartish blueberry. People still think we've put blueberries in it. No blueberries, just let that sit. I've already, in the 2 months already, 3 months, I can't believe the difference already. So it's moving along well, but I would still, we tell people you can drink it when you want, but if you want to experience this one, let it sit.
Yeah, and I will suggest to our people, at least if you cannot wait a year, wait at least 6 to 8 months. At least wait the Christmas season later this year, and if you can wait until next year, I think you're gonna be rewarded to be a little patient.
You can see it's like a gem in the rough, and you can see where it's going. That's going to be a diamond eventually.
I want you to tell, because for me, I really love these style of less small production. I think it was something like 72 cases produced.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 3 barrel here. Okay, this is an extremely small amount of wine, and for you guys to open that little box of private little family effort to us, it meant so much to me, because I know how much work goes into producing a rare kind of wine like that. So how many what's the status of the vineyard? Like, you have 1 acre of Malbec? What is the
Sorry, say that again.
what's the size of the vineyard? of the Malbec?
Oh,
Like you have like what, half an acre, a full acre, or?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't walk the vineyards at Naramata as much. I remember going through. You know what? I'll get that answer for you, and you can post it, because I'm not going to tell you the wrong answer. I can't say for sure.
That's all good, and I bet that this is the barrel selection that you guys did, just get the best barrel out of it, just to start the program, and you have a little bit going into your future Bordeaux blend. Is it the plan with the Malbec?
I think he makes that decision every year. It's so fun watching when he pulls. I mean, it's really fun. He usually sits down with his wife Laura, because she's got what's called the W set. I think she's just about finished W set 3, and the assistant winemaker. And if we're ever lucky enough to get off, then they're trying all the different blends to come up. So it really does depend upon the year and what they're going to do.
That is awesome. Mira and I have been invited more and more to different wineries to go sit down and do some barrel tasting with the people we know. And I think it's something, one of the Mira's most favorite thing to do, just to sit there and just to say, okay, this, and this. And like, while me and the winemaker describe and go in depth, and she's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but this is the best.
Yeah. No, I'm afraid that I'm not as good as Andrew on those kinds of things. I can talk about the family, the winery, what we do, and some of the things. But Andrew's really the one that he can, with passion, he can tell you all the things and why he does it and everything, and why certainly I can walk down the vineyard and take a grape and go, oh, that's going to be a good one, type of a thing. But he does have a son named Cooper, who at 2 years old walked down the vineyard with me, looked at a leaf and said, "That's Sauvignon Blanc, Grandma." And I went,
What?
At 2 years old, he could tell by the color of the leaf. That's not him. That's the older one, Noah, but definitely I'm going. So I think we have a little bit of genetics of heritage maybe coming along, and the name Cooper sort of goes along with the wine industry. So, yeah.
That is so cool. That is so cool. And what I mentioned at the beginning, that's these stories. You drag me out of bed in the morning and you fill me in tonight with so much great stuff. I want to thank you very much. First, for the great wine. Second, for the great partnership that we had. Thanks for taking some of your time and to show up tonight and just to give your wealth of knowledge and your family history to our people. So, Debbie, live from the Fraser Valley in Abbotsford, thank you on Mount Lehman. Thank you so very much for being with me tonight.
And I hope you all enjoy your wine. Send us an email anytime, or even through Carl. Let us know. And
absolutely.
Hope to see you sometime at one of the locations, either in the Fraser Valley or Naramata.
Debbie, awesome, I really want to meet you this summer at some point. If you're not coming to Naramata, we're going to drive to you, because Mira's family is on the island. So at the second that they're going to open the island for us to go back and see our parents, we're going to swing by and definitely stop by and say hi to you.
I'll let you know if I'm ever going up there on a Monday or Tuesday when I'm not got the shop open down here.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Take care, Mira. Thanks so much for
Thanks so much, Debbie.
Okay.
All right.
Now, guys.
Bye.
Oh, Debbie. A Chardonnay. You mentioned Chardonnay. On the 21st of May, it's the International Chardonnay Day. And I'm gathering some Chardonnays from all over the country. Do you have any? Do you have any?
So I have a story with that one. 2015 Chardonnay, not much of it left. Very first wine that Andrew made and it is incredible. Pineapple notes with some nice, half of it in stainless steel, half of it in neutral oak. A buttery long finish. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm gathering some Chardonnays from all over the country for the 21st of May. Do you think, I don't mind, I'll pay for the shipping. I would love to put one into our Chardonnay review. I think Mira calls it the Chardonnay Marathon or something like that. We're going to do a Chardonnay day on the 21st.
I'll make sure you get one.
Thank you.
I think you just paid You just made Carl's week. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
It's his very first wine all by himself. So well done.
Oh
You'll
my
get a
God.
bottle.
Well, thank you. We're getting someone is trying to hack our show tonight, so we'll have to let you go. This is my middle boy. So, Debbie, thank you so much. We'll be in touch, okay?
Okay, take care.
Take
Bye
care.
now.
Bye-bye.
This isn't like.
Gabrielle Boucher. There you go. So to everyone across the country, thank you so much, Carl's Wine Club members. I hope you guys enjoyed that intimate conversation with an awesome family that makes wine from 2 different regions. But to me, I just love these kind of conversations. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And wow, that I'm looking forward for that Chardonnay who's going to come my way. Woo-hoo. Mira Boucher, do you have anything for us before we close down the show? We're all good because I think that we're getting camera bombed on the other side. So thank you so much, everyone, from Victoria all the way to the eastern provinces. Thank you all. We appreciate you. Clay, Mike, who else tuned in here? Everyone. Steven Shapiro, Vicky Mitchell, everyone who tuned in tonight. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow it's Wine Wednesday. We're going to talk about Mount Boucherie. We have a great feature on Mount Boucherie going on right now. So let's tune in tomorrow for Mount Boucherie. Thank you. Have a good evening.